I like entertainingly bad games, and I also like bad games in general because sometimes you can get a lot of value out of having a lot of fun playing, watching something really, really bad. And now, for the second time ever in PlayStation history, PlayStation is now giving out refunds for a game if you had purchased it on the PlayStation Store. To be more precise, originally this happened with Cyberpunk 2077, and now we have it for MindsEye. Sony approves MindsEye PS5 refunds as dev issues a sincere apology. Basically, for those of you guys that don't know, MindsEye is the first game that is being published by IO Interactive, and basically is a terrible game. Like, it's awful. Like, the game is incredibly buggy, glitchy, it crashes a lot. A lot of the game doesn't really work as well as it would have liked. The AI is absolutely awful. Like, it just doesn't know what to do. But the thing is that it looks like a good game that might be, albeit somewhat bland. But the badness of what makes this game bad is almost refreshing in a way, because it's not stinging people for dosh as much as, like, say, microtransactions could. So at least that's one good thing. But it reminds me of a game called Rid To Hell Retribution. Now, why does it remind me of Rid To Hell? Because when I played that game, I had a lot of fun. Would I say Rid To Hell Retribution is a good game? Absolutely not. It's an awful game. It sucks. It's terrible. I would never recommend it to people until I played it, finished it, and did 2 playthroughs of the game to say I would actually recommend people play Rid To Hell Retribution. Get the game as cheap as humanly possible and play it. Like, you need to see how awful this game is and how much fun you can have from playing how awful it is. So I feel like MindsEye falls into a very special place where it's so bad that it could be fun to sit down and play. That being said, let's actually talk about the whole refund situation, basically. So, the game hit Sony's console just a couple of days ago in June 10th, but as reported by the Gamer, the platform holder is already dishing out refunds to early buyers. And as you know, PlayStation is a lot more, forget reluctant, they just refuse. Generally speaking, a game has to be busted or close to it for it to be like that. And of course, like I said, Cyberpunk 2077 was that earlier example of the last time, if only the only other time it's ever happened. But apparently MindsEye fits the bill somehow. While not being utterly unplayable, it's woefully optimized for the current gen systems, but there are lots of incredibly unoptimized games for PS5, so it's probably fair to say that other games are more deserving of players getting refunds than they are with this game, but I digress. Reports of crashes have been fairly common, and the title regularly runs at a sub 30 FPS even on PS5 Pro, despite being capped at 30 in the first place. Shockingly rough launch led to Build a Rocket Boy issuing an apology on social media, and it's also worth keeping in mind that, or in your mind's eye I should say, that a couple of people from the executive class of Build a Rocket Boy, the developers of this game, they left. So the chief legal officer and the chief something else officer, I can't remember exactly, both left with the idea that they were riding high on a successful game and just jumping to another company altogether. Who the hell knows? But it's just interesting to see something like that happen. But yeah, alongside the promise of an incoming hotfix, which I think did come out earlier today, that'll attempt to address immediate performance problems, the studio writes a heartfelt thank you to all our day one players. We know the launch of MindsEye hasn't been without its challenges for some of you. That is putting it very lightly. Right now, our top priority is game performance. We understand that the requirements are high and have limited the experience for many of you. And for this, we sincerely apologize. Improving performance comes across all devices is our immediate focus. A patch that begins our commitment to address this is scheduled for the end of this week on PC, which will also roll out to consoles as soon as possible. And of course, we would like to reiterate that pre-release review code of MindsEye was not made available to media outlets like Push Square. As such, critic reviews have only just started to make their way online and are just as damning as you'd expect. In the Push Square article, they gave it a 3 out of 10. Though keeping in mind Push Square was also the same people who gave Concord a 7 out of 10, so whether or not it's worth listening to what they have to say is just completely, you know, out the window as far as that's concerned. But it is just interesting to see all of this happen nonetheless. And with MindsEye being in a very precarious position and the giving out of refunds from PlayStation, there was no way I wasn't going to talk about this game. But now I just need to figure out like what videos I'm going to upload in what order, and I feel like this is going to be definitely in the front in terms of just how awful this game is, how much it crashed and burned when people tried to play it, and just each and everything else in between, but also being able to talk about Rid To Hell Retribution in a more relevant context, because like I said, it's an awful game and I just cannot wait to sit down and actually play MindsEye when it gets extremely discounted. Or I could probably try and buy the game, play through it, complete it, get the platinum, and then ask for a refund afterwards. Who knows what I could probably get away with, but I would rather wait for a mass refund for me to then jump into and actually give it a shot. But with all of that being said, however, are you also as morbidly curious about MindsEye as much as I am? Well, I'd be interested to hear about that all in the comments below. And let me know if you guys are also going to be thinking about grabbing this game just because it may turn out to be extremely cheap at your local GameStop or EB Games or whatever local game store you've got near you. Whether or not that's actually going to be like low enough of a price for you to jump in just out of morbid curiosity like I did with Rid To Hell. Because I got a copy of Rid To Hell Retribution for $1, mind you. I still have the copy with me as well. So I bought that for $1. It was a great time for $1, despite how bad the game was. But with all of that being said, however, like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 500 subs by the end of the year. With all that being said, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.